Nintendo has a pretty big all-star list when it comes to their consoles. Everyone cares about the Nintendo 64, or the Wii, or even the Game Boy family, but one console that seems to have been treated like the middle child is the 3DS. The 3DS being one of my favorite consoles as a child, which you'll soon realize if you subscribe to the channel, hint hint, was supposed to revolutionize the gaming industry with its amazing 3D screen, or at least be enough of a gimmick for consumers to want it. Transitioning from the original DS's with a touchscreen to the DSi with the built-in camera to the 3DS with a 3D screen and a 3D camera, 3D was the only viable route for Nintendo to take, it seems. They tried it once, so why not again? Launching first in Japan on February 26, 2011, the 3DS managed to sell 3.6 million units within its first month of launch. Although these numbers fell short of Nintendo's 4 million unit goal that was predicted, it did manage to be the fastest selling console in Australia at the time. Considering there were only a handful of Nintendo launch titles and a few more third-party games, the struggle of sales should have been expected. If you were buying the 3DS at launch, you were able to play Pilot Wings Resort, Steel Diver, Nintendogs Plus Cats, and that's it. People really went crazy for this, huh? Within just 5 months from launch, Nintendo was to cut the price of the 3DS due to its lack of sales. Slashing the price from $250 to $170 for newcomers allowed Nintendo to compensate early buyers of the 3DS with the Ambassador program, which was basically just a way of giving first-time buyers $80 worth of classic NES and Game Boy Advance games available to download. I would have said that this was a good deal, but come on, everyone knows Nintendo doesn't give good deals. With the 30% price drop the 3DS received, Nintendo managed to boost their sales by a whopping 260%, ultimately surpassing its projected goal by selling 4 million units in the US alone and 11.4 million worldwide. So, was the 3DS a failure? Considering throughout the 3DS family's 9-year lifespan and Nintendo managing to sell over 76 million units worldwide, no, it wasn't. It just had a bit of a rough start. Everyone has a coming of age story, so I mean, give the 3DS a break, come on. This was around the time 3D was the big fad. Following the Avatar movie, no, not that one, there were an increasing amount of new 3D TVs coming out, so Nintendo thought to jump on the 3D train with development on their new console. Which is surprising because 2 years later, in October of 2013, Nintendo would scrap the 3D entirely for their newest iteration of the system at the time, the 2DS, which had no 3D capability. So I mean, you hear that? What was once the main selling point of the console was taken out. It was the 3D that everyone wanted, right? Well, sorta. Kinda. At launch, there were a ton of reviews that complained about the low-res camera or even on issues when maxing out the 3D settings, which I will say, now as an adult, I can kind of feel the strain on my eyes and brain that I never felt as a kid. It seems like it's more user error than anything, but even then, you could just turn off the 3D entirely. So if you have bad eyes, you're f***ed, man. Or you're just a younger kid, which is actually why the 2DS was created, as Reggie explained. The Nintendo 2DS really focused on that entry-level gamer, the 4, 5, 6-year-old that is just getting into gaming, but wants to play Mario Kart, wants to have a Super Mario Bros. Experience, wants to play Pokemon. When it comes to the 3D aspect of the 3DS games though, there seems to be a fine line between those that hate and those that appreciate. There's always people complaining about how the 3D didn't allow developers to create games because, oh, the 3D isn't what developers are used to. But I rumor this to be false. The 3DS had amazing third-party support with amazing games such as Mutant Mudds, Shovel Knight, Cave Story, Shantae, Gunman Clive 1 and 2, The Binding of Isaac, Monster Hunter, and hell, even with Nintendo published games, those were absolutely goated. The Legend of Zelda remasters were amazing. The eShop exclusives, Push Mode, Crash Mode, Stretch Mode are amazing. Super Mario 3D Land, Pokemon XY, Sun Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, Nintendogs, Animal Crossing, Mario Kart, and so much more are absolutely amazing. So yeah, actually a lot of the games for the 3DS were actually really good and you're just not that much of a knower to know. All of these games, whether physical or digital, are worth videos on their own because each one had a certain charm to them. But for the most part, all of these games were games that kept the 3DS floating. These games were the reason that the 3DS XL was born, or the 2DS, the new 3DS, the new 3DS XL, or even the new 2DS XL. Look, Nintendo knows how to make money, okay? I think people now look back at the 3DS as just another one of Nintendo's consoles, but I feel that it was way more than that. Nintendo seems to have this cycle of riding high and then crashing low, but for the 3DS, I feel like it was a console that was able to keep Nintendo stable, up until this thing showed up. Even till today, the 3DS's value seems to have gone up. Just searching through Facebook Marketplace alone proves this point. And because I want to replay all these awesome games on a bigger screen, I went ahead and picked one up for myself. So no, the 3DS wasn't a failure. It was just different at the time and struggled a bit to get off the ground. There's a reason why so many folks today want to buy them. There are so many great games to play on the system, and who could forget about the Street Pass? Who wouldn't want to own one now? Especially if you've got some time on your hands, and one of these guys, you can save yourself a whole lot of money.